Okay.
Perfect. Good to see you.
You seen? How are you, Chris? Chris.
Very well. Very well. How should I say your name?
See, it's pronounced like a G. It's Yucel.
Yucel. Well, wonderful to connect with you. What's going on here?
You know, um, uh, I have been on a spiritual journey for about 15 years. And about 3 years ago or so, I ran across Ramana Maharshi,
Mm,
and that was kind of a shift. And during some journey with Spirit Molecule, um, I had a pretty good look at the reality, I
hmm
think, right?
hmm
Um, Everything was there and it was completely empty. Felt like home on a level that, you know, just home, there's no place to go. This is it, you know. And for a while, I found myself chasing that.
hmm
Um, but then I ran into, and I don't know how much you know about me, so I'm giving you some background to kind of let you know where I'm at to help
Yeah,
me.
perfect.
Um, the closest thing I sort of have to maybe a guru is Angelo Delula.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, he's great. And I read his book, which about a year ago I went to his retreat. That helped fill some blanks in for me. Realized I may have been doing some spiritual bypassing because
Mm,
that spiritual process, I got very good at choosing a better thought. So if I wasn't feeling well, I could just choose a better thought. I got very good at knowing what real love is. So I could choose to be loving and just feel better, right? So I wasn't going into bad feelings at all. I just pick a better thought and bad feeling would go away. So maybe that was spiritual bypassing. Um, so here I am, but I'm still suffering, right?
mm.
So I've had a real good look. I have probably a real good conceptual understanding. And sometimes, aside from the conceptual understanding, I can see the thoughts chasing themselves around. So I kind of know, there's nobody there, but there's still somebody there.
hmm
The things I'm kind of doing the most of, and I'm bouncing around, is sometimes I'll use moo because for me that's sort of like neti neti. It's a way
Mm.
of if I just label everything as moo, then it's moo mooing moo, right? So it's kind of like neti neti. Sometimes I'll try and do nothing meditation. So I got these couple of different practices that I'm sort of doing, but I'm still suffering. I'm
hmm
It's like dukkha suffering. It's like I know there's something better out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get from here to there, and I know there's nowhere to go, but I don't know how to go nowhere.
Right.
So is that
Totally.
tied up
Totally.
for
You mentioned Ramana Maharshi, and like oftentimes what ends up happening as soon as we get introduced to the direct path,
you?
there's nothing else cuts it. You just want to know exactly what is true, what is real in your direct experience, and like all the frivolous spirituality mumbo jumbo just doesn't hit the same way it used to along the seeker journey. You just want to know what is actually real and feel that sense of intimacy with just raw reality. You just want to be ultimately home with what is true and real in your lived experience. And so there's this subtle angst that can just like pervade all experience that you know is not ultimately true. As soon as we get introduced and get a taste of this direct path, this direct insight into what our nature ultimately is, right here and now in our direct experience, nothing else cuts it. Everything else, it can taste good, it can be a good story, it can feel good for a short while, but ultimately nothing will satisfy this hunger for just wanting to know what is actually true and abiding in that as that throughout all changing experience. And so that's what this is. And so like your hunger for that is a good thing, and you should be thankful that you have that sort of discontentment with whatever is illusory. That because that will
I
serve
feel
you.
better that I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, you should. You really should. And actually, what ends up happening is this is the delivery. This energy of discontentment is the energy with which you'll be delivered into raw reality. You just need to investigate what it actually is. When you feel this sense of separation, when you feel this sense of angst, this discontentment, or this separation from what you know yourself to ultimately be, like what actually is it? Can you locate it within you right now?
Like there's a feeling like here, but when I go to it, it disappears like almost immediately.
Hmm.
Disappears and then it's gone. And it's not replaced by, I mean, it's just replaced by kind of an emptiness, but it's not like a woo emptiness. It's just it goes away really fast.
What is the emptiness? Like when you go to what you feel the emptiness to be, sense into that emptiness all the way. What is that feeling?
Now I feel uncomfortable. Now I got like a little thing here. Wow.
It's good. It's good. We're putting that feeling into the fire. We're burning off these energies, and whether or not they make sense to the mind, and you can whether or not you can label them, saying like this is the energy of this burning off, or this is the story of this burning off. It doesn't matter. That feeling of discomfort is literally you sitting in the fire. All we need to do is go to the direct feeling of whatever we're feeling. This is a full embrace of what is. That's the direct path. And so if you say that there's a feeling of emptiness and that there just is nothing else, okay, go to where you feel the emptiness, go to the heart of it, and what does that feel like?
So
What
right
is
now
that?
it's not emptiness, it's more of a tightness, and it's sitting there. Um, so whatever is there, a void or whatever, just go into it as deep as you can.
Yep. This is the wormhole to ultimate reality. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as long as
Pe
it's not a thought, go into it.
yeah. Well, yeah. People like you that have been doing this for a while, I'm not going to give you anything because you've been given too much already. I'm going to point you to where you need to sit.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Right.
Bouncing around.
Right. Enough bouncing.
Yeah.
What's here right now? What is ultimately here right now in this moment? It's okay to use whatever words, even if they sound totally untrue. Just try to describe for me what
It's
is
more
here.
actually looking for me to go into it because when I try and put it in words, it sort of chases it away too. So you direct me to it or you're asking me for the words?
I'm asking you for the words, even if they sound untrue. Like, tell me what this sensation is of void or emptiness. Like when you really sit in it, and feel free to take your time, go to it and
Different
feel it.
voices. I've been having this tightness.
Yeah.
You started talking, so I don't know.
Let's go right into the tightness, into the very middle of it, locate it and feel it in its full vibrational essence.
So when I go into it, it starts to, especially now that I sat up, I think sitting down was crunching it,
Hmm.
um, crunching it into more tightness. Um, More emptiness, more depth.
While you're here, look to see if there's any dimensions to it. What's the width of it? What's the height of it? Are there any boundaries to it?
Help me with the boundaries and the width question because I mean I hear Angelo talk about that a lot,
Hmm.
and my feeling of things in my body, if I were to describe them, like okay, let's say this was in my body,
Hmm.
it always feels like kind of a dense fuzziness with a light fuzziness.
Hmm.
So I feel like here's a boundary, and it doesn't feel like, but it feels kind of like there's something there, but there's a fuzziness around it that kind of like a cloud. Does that make sense?
Well, the mind, what's happening is the mind is picturing or interpreting an energy. It's trying to conceptualize what is being felt. What we're doing here is discarding everything the mind says about it and actually feeling.
But you're asking me to feel a dimension.
hmm Well, I'm asking you to see if there's any dimensions. Like it's true that like the mind is a tool. We can use this. And so I'm asking you, when you feel the sensation and go into it right now, what are the dimensions of it? Is there a height to it, a width to it? Can you locate an actual edge?
I can't locate an edge, but it feels like about that big. So it sort of has a feeling of size, but it doesn't seem like it has an edge.
Okay, so we what we just did was you felt it, and then your mind immediately tried to dimensionalize it.
Okay.
And I told you that was fine because you're just trying to describe it to me. But actually, right before the mind tried to come up with a shape of it, there was a directness. So go back into that directness and see if there's any edges to it.
There's no edges.
And then where are you in this? Are you separate from this feeling, this vibration, this feeling of contraction? Where are you in it?
I kind of feel like I'm outside of it looking down and at it. So I do feel separate from it.
Okay, yeah, let's investigate that. So then where does the sensation or vibration start and stop, and where do you start and stop? Where are the edges?
Well, when I look for me, I end up chasing myself around the space. Um,
There's an illusion of you chasing something around the space.
yeah.
That's the illusion that we're trying to dispel here, because actually, where are you chasing this sense of you? Is that which is chasing it moving at all?
Hmm.
What is viewing the chase? What is running and what is chasing? And then what is viewing that entire thing?
Kind of feels like attention or perception
Mm-hmm.
is kind of like a flashlight,
Mm-hmm.
illuminating various aspects, and it's that beam that's moving around.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's narrowing.
This attention is simply a contraction of infinite consciousness into finite consciousness and what appears to be a direction. So what this investigation is finding the substance of that. So,
Um,
so if you're saying there seems to be a beam of light pointed in a certain way, we're calling this attention, attention being directed. Okay, what is actually the substance of that? What is the beam of light? What is the light itself? What is the substance of attention? What is the substance of attention?
it's got to be the thing itself.
What is that? What's it
Whatever.
made of?
I don't know what it's made of, but it's like when you stated it that way, that's as close as I sort of have a feeling that the attention and the contraction are the same thing. They're not two. Um,
What's aware of this?
and that's as close as the subject and the object being one thing as I've sort of felt. I'm not 100% there, but it sort of feels like they sort of merge with whatever that pointing was you just did.
Yeah, I mean, we dissolve the illusion of boundary, the illusion of separation, the illusion of edges, just through direct investigation like this. So I'm going to
Hmm.
ask you again, like, what is all of this made of? Any energy, any contraction, any attention, any feeling in the body, what could any of this ever be made of? What is its ultimate substance?
It's the attention itself.
Yeah. And what is attention made of? Attention, like we just said, is a contraction. It's a focusing. But a focusing of what?
Hmm. I don't have a word for it.
It must
Uh,
just be awareness.
Awareness, attention, will.
Okay, what is your relationship with awareness?
I really don't know. I, it sort of seems like it's either external stimuli that grab attention, or it feels like it's mind willing the attention to go somewhere.
Hmm. Perfect. Yeah, no, you're being really honest, which is great. Like, we need to be super honest in this investigation. Otherwise, we won't find where the illusion is, and then we can't dispel it. So I'll ask again, what is, because this is a feeling thing. We're feeling, we're trying to bypass what the mind says about this and actually feel where the energies overlap and what the substance of them is. And so, what is your direct perception of your relationship to awareness? What is looking through your eyes or looking through your mind? What is that substance?
Awareness looking.
It can only ever be awareness. And now pick something out in your direct experience. Hold it or feel it, whether it's inside your body or mind or outside your body or mind. Let's look at it. Just pick something.
Okay. And look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just so I can describe it. Also, what is it? Just a block. Yeah, okay, perfect.
Glasses.
So So is this block inside or outside your awareness?
Well, I'm looking at it, so it's in my awareness.
And then any substance that can be felt or any experience of this block, could that be inside or outside your awareness?
I'm aware of it, it's in my awareness.
It's
If
inside.
I'm not aware of it, then it's outside my awareness.
What is anything inside your awareness made of?
Awareness.
Yeah, it's a substance of everything. That's why it's said that consciousness or awareness, these terms I use interchangeably, is the substance and nature of reality. And so this is a direct investigation to see whether or not this is true for everything. Ultimately, the boundaries between you and everything dissolve, and you realize everything is just consciousness. But of course, it's just a concept until you energetically dissolve the illusion that was never there.
How do you feel about perception? And
Pers-
and the reason I got tied into perception was because a lot of the videos I've been listening to have been around sense gates, which is
Mhm.
around perception.
Yeah, yeah. I think we should explore some of the sense gates, but how I think of perception is just the exact same way that I think of attention. It's a directing or a focusing of this infinite consciousness that's just pure and unmodulated. Like there's a substance to consciousness, and that's a ultimate substance of everything. Perception is simply a lens through which this unmodulated essence of awareness is shining through. And creating colors, creating sensations, creating, seeming division, multiplicity, all things. It's the exact same thing. Like think of if you have a pet, like it's the same substance shining through the prism of that pet's mind. And so reality looks different to them. They'll perceive colors differently because of the cones and rods in their eyes. That's just another way to say the filter of their mind is different. And so reality looks different. but the substance of mind is the exact same. The ultimate substance is still awareness.
And you feel it's one awareness.
Yeah,
So your awareness and my awareness and the dog's awareness is one awareness.
it's the exact same substance. Yes, this is completely undivided. It's one essence. It's what everything is. It is. Everything is a modulation of that single essence.
Okay. Um,
No thing is outside of this. Everything, everything that could ever be experienced in experiential reality is a modulation of this, a coloring of this, a vibration of this single essence. What could ever be known but the knowing of it?
bunch of stories.
But even the stories are made of this.
Hmm.
Look to see
So
if it's true or not. I'm not trying to get you to believe anything. I'm trying to get you to investigate. Is this true or not?
how would I investigate whether it's the same awareness in me or somewhere else?
Well, that's a tough one. Only because that only becomes clear after the boundaries dissipate. And so the one that is looking is always that contracted focusing mechanism. And the contracted focusing mechanism, which we call the mind, right? The mind is what directs this attention, directs this perspective, is the flashlight you were talking about. The mind is the focusing mechanism. And so the focusing mechanism can never know its essence, but we can become it. You can dissolve into it. And as we dissolve into it, things clarify. Reality clarifies into what's called one taste.
What?
Reality clarifies into what some call one taste. It's
One
called
taste.
it's called one taste because everything becomes the taste of consciousness itself. This is consciousness tasting itself as the multiplicity and diversity of all things, all modulations of self. These are only concepts until you investigate in your direct reality, though.
So you pushed me through um, investigating my awareness. What's a way for me to do that on a regular basis when there isn't someone like you pushing me through it, or when I'm not watching a YouTube or something? What's a way not to get distracted or to
It's just like going to the gym. It's just like going for a run. It's like working out. You have to do the mental reps in order to become established in this, in order to dissolve the illusion. And so there's a constant vigilance that needs to be had. And that vigilance, what works for most people is the investigation of these sense gates. And so we can do it again with another perception and see if any of this clarifies for you. Like when you, in your walking daily life, if you hear a noise, automatically the mind perceives the noise coming from over there and being interpreted over here. But that's the illusion of mind. See what actually is. Where is that noise? And what direction from you is that noise? When you hear my voice right now, what direction is it coming from?
well, it feels like it's coming from over there. The speakers are over there.
Perfect. We found the illusion. Now see where it actually is. Feel into the noise. Feel into the sound of my voice. Where is it within your awareness? Obviously, it's within your awareness. We've established that. What direction within your awareness is it?
Um, Now it feels like it's sort of over here.
Hmm. Yeah, things are starting to change for you. Things are collapsing. The illusion of distance and separation collapses with this investigation.
Is there the sound? Is that one that's good to do initially with whatever sounds are in the environment, or is it good to do with like what do you call them, the dual tone multi-frequency things with the or with
Well,
head? So what's a good way to practice this?
whatever's easiest for you. Just like when we go to the gym, we start with a lightweight and eventually we work up to heavy weights. So whatever your point into this is, start there. This will work as long as you are vigilant with what is ultimately true in your direct experience. This will go very rapidly for you.
As long as I'm truthful, what's that?
You have to be absolutely truthful with yourself with what actually is here without story.
The thing with sound is the nature of sound is it's got two ears, so it's triangulating, and your brain is doing all these calculations to figure out direction and distance. Um, is that just something you work with and around, or is there a way through that? Or
This you're totally right. This is how biology works, for sure. But the access point to this is actually just your direct experience. Everything you just said is what your mind knows about what's happening. Instead, this is bypassing what the mind knows is happening and investigating your direct experience. So again, pick whatever noise or sound you want to pick and see which direction it's in your direct awareness. And what is it made of? And where are the boundaries? Where's the edge of sound?
uh,
Sight is this. I think I've heard Angelo say this as well, and it's my experience also that sight is the hardest one to do because you're you can't close like a lot of times it's easiest to close your eyes when investigating the sense gates because you're collapsing the field of perception into just what's here. And so it's a little bit harder to do open-eyed, but ultimately that becomes apparent too, that like everything that's perceived out there is simply my own awareness, and there is no distance. Distance is a concept of mind, and it's okay to have, but we need to be absolutely truthful with what actually is the substance of this now moment. And so one of the you said you like moo, and it's perfect. That's a great one to use. I always just like using what essence knows this moment.
wow,
Is there an essence that knows this moment?
yes,
What is it? And where are you in all that?
interesting. I was looking at it, so there was a lot of separation with it.
That's a projection of mind. What essence knows this moment? Feel it again.
Feels like a kind of spaciousness.
Yeah, right.
A huge space. It's like I feel it kind of growing, but it feels like a space
Hmm.
about
Where are the boundaries or edges of it?
keeps moving.
Did it ever have a boundary? Or are the boundaries moving? Or
Boundaries
not?
move.
The boundaries seem to move only when we're talking about the contents. The essence that knows, does that move? When when you I'm asking you, does the essence that knows this moment, does it move? You're saying yes, because all of a sudden I was just aware of this desk. Now I'm aware of that wall over there. So it's moving, it's expanding. But no, the essence that knows this moment, does it move at all? I'm not talking
No,
about the contents. We have to distinguish the contents of that it knows, this desk and that wall, from this essence, the essence that knows. What essence knows this moment?
I don't work for it. It's just
Perfect. And we don't have to, but this is what you've been calling I your entire life. This is the substance of I. This is your true self. You've just been looking past it your entire life in favor of its contents because they seem more interesting until they don't. And when they don't, there's an awakening. When you ask yourself what essence knows this moment, there's often a sensation of collapsing.
your face goes funny too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can kind of mess with perception a little bit. And sometimes people will all of a sudden feel everything as being 2D. I get that a lot because now you're just inherently seeing the truth of your visual field also. It's kind of like a reality is kind of like a screen. In a movie, there seems to be a depth. You know, when a car is driving down a street, there seems to be motion and a depth, but it's all happening on a completely flat screen. It's all an illusion or a modulation of a flat screen. That's what this is. This is all modulation of an awareness that never moves. The illusion of depth and the illusion of movement, the illusion of space and time, all take place within the eternal here and the eternal now. And it's just this essence that knows this moment that is that screen. You are that, and I am that.
Like right now, I wouldn't even recognize you,
Perfect.
which is weird.
Your perception is clarifying. You're dissolving the story that was there and now just perceiving direct reality, actually what is. This is what awakened life looks like. You're no longer perceiving reality through the mind. You're perceiving just what is, uncolored, unfiltered, in its pure raw essence. And everything then is yourself. Because everything is made of the essence that knows this moment. And you are that, and I am that, and every person is that. Everything is consciousness. Everything is this.
So if I do this and sit with this, does it sort of collapse into something for me over some period of time?
Everything just clarifies. The illusion of boundary, the illusion of separation dissolves. It's not replaced by anything. What becomes apparent is everything is just a modulation of the awareness that knows it. And this has implications too, because then everything is true. It's in some traditions it's said that upon awakening or enlightenment or whatever, everything is then seen as the face of God. There's a reverence. You probably experienced it just there. You experienced probably a sense of awe because there was an opening.
So you went all the time?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes less destabilizing over time. Like initially, it can feel a little destabilizing because all of a sudden your mind can come back in and be like, oh shit, okay, what do I hold on to? What is real then? You know what I mean? And it can try to find a foothold in this, and ultimately, when this stabilizes, and it'll stabilize naturally over time, or somebody like Angelo can help you, or I can help you, or there's a lot of people that can help stabilize this. Uh, but this is the ground of being. You could never fall off of it. So that which felt destabilized or was worried about disappearing is also seen to just be an illusion. And you are already the ground of being. So where could you go? Where could you fall off to? What could disappear but what was never there in the first place? You are already this essence that knows this moment, and everything else is just a layer of mind built atop of that. But again, we get here through directly investigating, not through if oftentimes what happens is the mind tries to co-opt this and take it as philosophy. And that's okay. You can do that, but understand that that will never bring you here. It's the direct investigation that brings you energetically here and dissipates the boundaries, dissipates the illusion of separation.
Can you
That's what needs to be done.
can you send me a link to this recording?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'll send you a link to this recording, and usually I just cut out, some of the dead spaces or whatever, but ultimately I keep these recordings pretty much in their raw essence, whatever I feel can serve people. That's just why I made this channel. There was a direct seeing, and I found that this can alleviate suffering. I don't come from any religious or spiritual background. I'm not into dogma. I'm not into traditional, ways of looking or teaching. There's a direct recognition here. And what brought me there was some of the same teachers that you mentioned. Sri Ramana Maharshi was one of them. Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj was another, and they pointed directly, and I believed them, so I looked. Can you locate it again? What essence knows this moment?
So weird when you say that, your face goes,
Yeah, it can have real effects on perception, but don't get distracted by that. What essence knows this moment? If my face warps or anything you see warps, it's just the contents. It's not the essence. Understand that this is the I that you've been referring to as self your entire life. We're just clarifying what it actually is. And it's a substance that knows this moment. That is your I. When you say me or I am, whatever, you're talking about the contents of this I that knows this now moment.
I was trying that with what essence hears this moment.
Yeah, perfect.
That's that brings it one step closer.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. The prompts, whatever works for you, find what works for you. If it's what essence is hearing this, or what essence knows this, what essence sees this, what essence feels this, it allows you to divest yourself of the contents and just look purely at what essence knows.
How do you do these things? Like I can sign up anytime. Do you do these things for free ongoing? What's your deal?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm between projects. I'm a wildlife biologist by day trade, and so right now I'm between projects. So I've been fitting in all these different one-on-one meetings, and so this through August 31st, I think it'll be my availability is pretty much wide open. After that, I'm hopping on another biology project, so my availability will be less so, but. Um, Still, I'll probably have some availability for these meetings, and they'll always be free. They'll always be open. I haven't done a large group meeting yet, but hopefully sometime. I've just been trying to get through, making sure I get through all the individual meetings first before I do the larger group ones. So I got a couple more lined up. But as soon as I get through those, maybe we'll do a large group. And yeah, always this will be an ongoing thing. This will always be available to you.
I'm looking behind you. Is that a book on a shelf?
Yeah, yeah. The book's called the Absolute Enlightenment and Ultimate Freedom. I did write that little book. It's just a little 150 page thing. What it is there are attunements to this, and I wrote that book uh, during the time that I was uh, it's written post awakening, but during the integration phase, and so I felt that that was a really like important time to write down in my diary how this investigation was going, the revelations that were contained within it, because that's an interesting time period, and I felt like that could help with some people's looking. So yeah, that's a book. It's available on Amazon. I've actually it's you could probably see like I've underlined and changed some quite a bit of things.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I did that after I started having meetings with people, only because I gain a better appreciation of each person's perspective and how people are looking at this from and how they're dealing with it. And so I changed some things, and I have yet to upload the new version. But when I do, I'll put it on Amazon for paperback. I'll also put it on the website for free. So you can just download a PDF if you don't want, if you're not like a paperback guy. Uh,
Do you recommend I wait for the update? Is kind of what I hear you
it's
saying.
it's not that different, but it does incorporate my new understandings of just different people's perspectives on it. And so whereas this what's written and available right now is like my internal revelations and then me just transcribing them into a diary. And so it's just like how I was approaching this and how I was looking at this and dealing with, this new awakened perspective. And so I think it's still helpful even as is. But if you wanted to wait, yeah, though it's just some of the language that's really being changed in order to, accommodate more people's perspectives as I've gathered from these meetings.
Is that a couple of week thing or a couple of month thing or a couple of year thing for the
Oh
update?
shit, I don't know. Whenever I get around to it, I mean, as soon as I do the PDF, I'll put it up right away, and I'll probably just make a little, YouTube short or something telling people that, they can go and download it right away, and then, maybe the Amazon paperback version will be available maybe just another week or two after that. But I'm hoping to get that done prior to the end of August because then I'll get busy again.
Well, thank you so much, Chris.
Of course. Of course. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to look directly and actually being authentic with what your direct experience is. Like that's the only way we can approach this is with authenticity. Otherwise, it's just delusion. Otherwise, it's just another story. It's just philosophy. And this is
Are
not
the people
philosophy.
who are talking to you authentic?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 No, I think, I mean, is as authentic as they know how to be.
Yeah.
Some people don't really know how to be authentic only because they've lived so much from the story of their perception that there isn't a direct recognition of what the perception is actually saying. Like they feel like their senses, whether it's smell, taste, touch, whatever, all they know of it is a story. And so that can be an interesting push to get through, but when we do, there's a direct insight that's just on the other side of that, just on the other side of that mental story. You've probably heard me say the distance between you and enlightenment is the width of a thought. And so, what is the width of a thought? What are the spatial dimensions of the thought?
Very good. I got the thing about stories before I even ran across Ramana Maharshi. I could see very clearly that there was an addiction to the story
Mm.
of Yucel or the story of Chris or the story of Tom, Dick, or Harry, right? And everybody wanted their story to turn out good with a happy ending. And I could see how that was causing a lot of the problem. What I didn't see was the story was a bunch of thoughts chasing each other around.
Hmm. And they cause a friction in your life. They actually don't make it more harmonious. It's the degree to which we can let go of these stories and the demand on it going or looking a certain way that allows harmony to take place. The more we can release that constriction on reality, on just our lived life experience, the more this can return to just a harmonious flow. Until our next meeting, just look directly into what knows this moment and is that separate from the sensations, and investigate the sensations. Look to see if there's boundaries. Look to see if there's a distance. Look to see if there's edges, and look to see if there's any separation between you and what you're sensing.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And thank you for your willingness to look directly, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. All my love, brother.